Now, the trades that you're going to see in today's video are some of the more confident retest setups that I do look for. Not every retest is the same. Some of them is a retest of a previous low intraday. Some of them is a retest of a certain level from multiple months ago, right? Not every retest is the same. But the retest trade that I'm going to show you today, which is a retest of the previous day lows, a break below the previous day lows, a retest of that previous day low, is when I am most confident. So the question that I'm going to attempt to answer in today's video is, what is the break and retest setup that I like to trade the most? What is the exact thing on the chart that I look for that gives me that 100% confidence to take a trade entry? Now, when I say trade entry and confidence to take it, a 100% confidence, that does not mean a 100% win rate. Win rate and confidence are very, very different. You can have 100% confidence in your trade, in your trading strategy, and in your setup, but you can still lose. But that is okay. That is part of trading. If you have a trading strategy, you are going to lose at times. There is no such thing as a 100% win rate strategy. But the key here is that the break and retest has such great risk to reward that when you do win, which is more than 50%, at least for the way I trade it, it is always going to be a larger win than a loss. There is always a very good risk to reward when entering using the break and retest, which gives me that confidence that it is something I can look for over and over again and something that will consistently make me profitable over time if I trade that trade setup, if I keep things the same, if I have a constant in my trading, which is my strategy, I can have profitability over the years. As you guys know, if you know science, if you know anything like that, statistics, there always has to be a constant, right? And the constant for me is my strategy. If I don't have a constant, I don't have anything to base my performance off of. If you are looking for that constant in your trading, which for me is the retest strategy, I recommend watching my videos, watching the break and retest, and seeing how these work out. So let's jump into the two trades today, Meta and Tesla, and these are the exact same setups. And I'm not kidding, they're exact same. Previous day low, break and retest, and a bear flag to the downside. They are identical, and let's go ahead and show you that right now. So guys, on your screen, you are looking at the 2-minute chart on Meta. This is from Friday on the left and Monday on the right. Monday yesterday, Friday of last week. Now, what I love to look for is a break of the previous day low. The previous day low of day. I look for it to break, but I don't trade the break. I wait for the stock to break that previous day low, and I wait for it to push back up into it. If we break below the previous day low and we trade back into that low, that is where I will look for rejections using the break and retest. Break of previous day low, retest of previous day low, and see if that previous day low turns into a rejection point, entering put options, looking for the downside move. Now, what you'll see here on the 2-minute chart on Meta, on Friday, we had a low of 203.50. $203.50. We had a triple bottom on Friday right here. So you have a previous low here, 203.50, again 203.50, and again 203.50. So coming into Monday, I was looking at Meta and I said, if we get a break below that low, if we get a retest of that low, I want to be in looking for downside. Now you can see early morning, Meta had an aggressive downside move right into the Friday lows, previous day lows. We bounced. No trade setup, right? We never broke it. We never retested it. No trade setup there. We're not going to short into that low. We're not going to short into a potential demand hold. Now, later in the day, we moved lower and we broke below the previous day low. Right here, this is around 11 o'clock. We broke below the previous day low, and look at what we did. We pushed back into it. So if I zoom in here on Meta's chart and just look at yesterday's price action, you are going to see that 203.50, which was the Friday lows, held intraday both in the morning and at 10:30, and here around 11 o'clock, we broke below it. Now, I do not trade this downside move. I wait for the retest. The reason I wait for the retest is because this breakdown is my confirmation that the break and retest might be setting up. It is my confirmation that my strategy is now starting to look enticing, right? My strategy may start to work here. So I wait for that break. That's check one. The check two is the retest of the previous day low, and it is this move right here. We moved higher here, back into 203.50, some very low volume if you realize that on the bottom. And what I love to see more than anything is the move pushing back up, creating a bear flag setup. So you can see we broke below 203.50. We broke below the intraday lows and the previous day lows. We grinded higher with some lower volume. creating a bear flag. Now, as soon as I see that rejection start to come in, as soon as I start to see that bear flag break, I will put a trade on. Now, like I said earlier, this is not a 100% win rate. Meta could move lower, it could bounce back over, and I could get stopped out of this trade. But the reason this is so powerful is because if I get stopped out of this trade, my risk to reward is so good. I'll go ahead and visualize that risk to reward on TradeZella in just 1 second when I pull up the trade, but this is exactly what I look for, right? The break of the previous day lows, the retest of it, the bear flag setup, turning the previous double bottom intraday, also the previous triple bottom from Friday, into a rejection, setting up my trade there, and using that for a downside move. So here on TradeZella, I can use this to sort of visualize the exact risk reward that I was using when setting this trade up. On this trade, I made $836, about an 8% gain, scaling out as I got the move in my favor, and honestly could have made more money, but I hit my profit target, which in this case was about a 4-to-1, and I took my profits off the table, walking away with a very nice win, ending my day on this trade. You guys can see that this was the 203.50 retest that I was looking at. If I go ahead and use the box tool here on TradeZella, I'll go ahead and use that same tool to show you that retest that I was looking at, right? So we were looking at this low here at 203.50, this low here at 203.50, and this was the retest that I was looking at. So now deleting that box and sort of zooming in here on the risk to reward, you guys can see that this risk to reward, my target was low of day, right? So I was getting in on that retest, targeting low of day. This was a 4.87 to 1 risk reward. So just about a 5 to 1 risk to reward. That means that if I took this setup 5 times, I only need to win one of them to be flat, to be even on these 5 trades. If I took this trade 5 times and only won once, I am break even. But if I take it 1 time and it works, I'm up 5x. If I take it 5 times and it works 5 times, I'm up 25x. But the reason this gives me confidence is because of the risk to reward. Because I know that if I get it wrong once, if the retest does not work 1 time, the next time I do it, it most likely will. And if it does, it will outweigh that loss every single time. So you guys can see here, took my entry at 11.36, scaled out as we approached the low of day, walked away with an awesome profit. Obviously, it could have gone a lot further, but I was targeting these lows, and I was very happy with the trade. So once again, break and retest previous day lows, break them, turn them into a resistance, look for the downside off that level, use that candle high as your stop loss. Good risk to reward is the key. Now, we're going to go into Tesla, and you're going to see the exact same thing. And I'm not kidding. It is the exact same thing. So here is Tesla, right? This is yesterday. This is today. This was the previous day low on Tesla, right around $190 per share. Today, we broke under 190. Big flush at open, under 190. We went back into 190, and we started to reject that level. Right here is where I entered a second entry of my puts, and I got that nice downside continuation. I was entering some puts here around that 189 with the idea of stopping out over 190. We did push higher into 190. I added to my position at that 190, and I waited for this thing to break down. This, again, was a perfect break and retest of the previous day lows, the exact same setup as Meta. So here's TradeZella, guys. Made about $1,400, about 11% on this trade. And you guys know, if you watch my videos and after I review my trades on TradeZella, my wins are always around 8 to 10%. And I do enjoy this. When I look at TradeZella and I see that my wins are almost always the same percentage, I know that I have a system. I know that I have a strategy that is repeatable, that I'm doing over and over again. I like to see that. So 11%, 10%, very common to see from my winning trades. Here is another example of that retest entry. You guys can see, if I zoom in here, this was about a 4-to-1 risk reward on Tesla. I was getting in around that 189 with the stop over 190, and I was looking for the lows back into 186. This was a previous demand level that I was looking for Tesla to trade down into today. You can see that I was staggering my entries. I got in here around 189, and when we pushed into that 190, I added once again to this position. I was very confident that we would reject that previous day low. So after seeing us starting to reject that 190, I added once again, added on the way down as the strategy was working, and you can see stayed very patient here and waited for Tesla to slip down into that 186 level. So once again, it's a carbon copy, right? Break of the previous day low, retest of the previous day low, set up your trade entry using that previous day low as your stop loss. If you're looking at put options, look to see if we reject that previous day low, set up your trade, have the stop above the previous day low. If the stock gets back above, you take your loss, you move on. The trades that you're taking have good risk to reward. So what is the problem with losing? If you know you can look for it again, if you can come into tomorrow, look for the same setup, you can lose multiple times and still be profitable using this strategy. But what is even more awesome about the break and retest is not only does it provide a good risk to reward, it also works quite a bit. You see this all the time, the break and retest. You guys know that. If you watch my channel, I'm sure you've seen this around, and it's something that I will continue to trade and continue to talk about here on the channel, hopefully helping you guys find a consistent strategy. So guys, that's about all that I have for you in today's video. Break and retest, previous day lows, look for it, learn it, back test it, look at your charts, see if it's happened on other stocks that you're watching, learn how to trade it. I highly recommend it. Nothing out there is 100% bulletproof. Nothing out there is going to win all of the time. But if you have a constant in your trading, which should be your strategy, if it's a profitable strategy with good risk to reward, it's something that you can look to trade on a daily basis and hopefully make money in your trading career. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to help me out and press that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel for more videos, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.